as soon as they were inside, they locked the doors and barred them because they were afraid. Maybe you've done that. But the disciples were so afraid today that as soon as they got in the room, they locked and barred the doors. And what did Jesus do to that barrier they had set up? He walked right through it into their midst. I suggest that that is what Jesus is always doing. And certainly for the disciples, the locked doors weren't the only barriers, because in some ways, minds and hearts and wills were locked and barred as well. Some were so crushed that they thought they could never believe again. And what did Jesus do? He walked right through that barrier and said, "See, touch the wounds, and know that it is I." Some had so given up hope they could not imagine going on. And Jesus walked right through that barrier and said, "Peace be with you." And some were so filled with shame that they could never imagine having any role again. And Jesus walked right through that barrier and said, "As the Father has sent me, so I send you." Jesus is always walking through the boundaries that we set. There is no place we could go. There is no place we could hide. There is no door that could be shut behind us by anyone, including ourselves, that Jesus doesn't walk through to be with us again. We can ignore him. We can act like he's not there, or we can refuse him. But he won't stop coming. Again and again, he walks through the boundaries and the borders that we set up. You'd think he'd get tired of it. I loved what one of our own grade school children said at dinner table to Dad. "Dad, what's that song in church about God being tired?" "I'm not sure what you're talking about." "You know, Dad, that song in church, we just sang it. He is exhausted, the King is exhausted." "Oh, honey, the King is exalted." Yeah. He's not exhausted. Yeah. And we have a God who never tires, who's ever fresh, ever new, ever alive, coming up to the barriers we set up all around us and walking right through them into our midst. Sometimes he comes how? In the look of a child, maybe. Sometimes he comes through the boundary at a time of great beauty and joy or great heartache. And somehow then we're able to see him. And sometimes he breaks through the boundary in the phrase of a song, or in the quiet of our own hearts when we are locked away somewhere. My brothers and sisters, we will all find ourselves somewhere behind some boundaries that maybe it feels like someone else locked and set in front of us. Or maybe those boundaries that we ourselves set. But again and always, Jesus walks right through them. We can ignore him, but he won't quit coming. There's an old legend about Jesus after he had been raised from the dead and returned to heaven, that even as on earth the scars of his wounds still would show, so in heaven. And as he went to heaven, everyone gathered around, and they were so moved by the wounds in his body that he bore for us. But they were so thrilled to see him that they wanted to have a great party. And so all the preparations were made for the great banquet, the great welcome home banquet for Jesus. And finally it was time to start, but they couldn't find Jesus. And they said, Peter, where's Jesus? Peter said, he's out standing at the front gate. Why, Peter? Peter said, I don't know. They said, Peter, would you go ask him? So Peter went up to Jesus and said, Jesus, the party's already, would you come on in? He goes, no. Jesus, well, what are you doing, Jesus? What are you doing? And the story says Jesus looked right at Peter and said, I'm waiting for Judas. How you doing, old buddy? What's the matter? You're mad. Okay. All right. I hear that. So, Big Al, you know what's right with you right now? Love is. Is not. It is too. Is not. Can't see it. You can't see it, Big Al. That's because you're so mad. But, Big Al, could I take the bag off your head? All right. So, Big Al, what's going on? Show you. Oh, you're Easter pastor. Now, see, I would think that would make you happy. Watch. Humpty. Well, I hear you. Okay, so Easter is over. Oh, no, Big Al. Easter's not over by a long shot. No. More candy. No, more candy. No, see, Big Al, but candy was never the main thing anyway. The candy was just a reminder of the beauty and life that God gives us. And Big Al, you know, sometimes we do get mad and hide away. But Jesus was trying to get through you. You know, you said you couldn't see love. I know. I was right here. We were right here. Jesus was right here. Jesus is always calling to us. And we've got to learn to listen for him. Candy. Candy or not? What do you think? Go Blues. Boys and girls, Easter is not over. And you know how sometimes we would play hide and seek? I was thinking about how good Jesus was at that. There's no place you could ever hide that he wasn't already there waiting for you.